So today it's finally time for The Seer by Swans, of course. That's the next album I'm going to do by Swans, and it's an album I kind of was scared to do because there was so many people who told me this is their best one. This is even better than Soundtracks for the Blind. This is better than anything in their discovery, and something very different. That's the main thing. It's very different. That's always like, well, I appreciate that it's something different, but I hope that I like the changes. I like the differences. I like the thing they try new, the stuff like that, if you know what I mean. But to be honest, why not? Something new, even if you maybe don't like it, makes sense in that sense. So into that, right here, we end this album. Swans this year, it released on the August 28th, 2012. That's 2 years after my father got me up in the rope. So the rope album was like 2 years before this one. So maybe something changed up to this guy, this track right here. The frontman Michael Giro got a Christian and stuff like that. That's also the concept from the previous album in that kind of sense, if you know what I mean. And that's pretty interesting going maybe into this one. We got a lot of tracks on this one, 11 tracks, which is interesting for this length. And damn, this is almost 2 hours long. There's a track that is 30 minutes long. When I saw it, I was like, this is going to be something very interesting. But yeah, I think I'm just like really want to get something maybe out of this one. It's maybe going to be something very different, but I don't know why. But I'm just like, I saw this lyrics right here. I just pulled them up for the first track, Lunacy it's called, and it's like just like very short little stuff right here. The last time when he did things like this was kind of like in this no wave era where he just like took this very small passages of like little pieces of lyrics and just like here you got it and here and here and here, these little pieces. I don't know what this will sound like. Maybe it's going to be in some no wave stuff like earlier. Maybe it's going to be some post-rock stuff, maybe some ambient stuff, maybe some noise rock metal, maybe also, I don't know what the hell is going on maybe on this album. But let's talk about this cover. This cover right here really is weird. I tried to understand it in a way, but I just can't get my mind into this one, why they took this animal right here. Also for maybe the concept of this album. This looks like I got like ears, but what the hell? Anyways, so I guess we should just like jump into this album. I could talk about like, oh, it's about the stuff I just like think about before going into this one right here. But the only way to find out what I really think is, I guess, to listen to it. First time, The Seer, Swans. Let's listen. 11 tracks, 2 hours. The first track is called Lunacy. Let's listen. Let's go. Holy shit, why is there so much happening in the first 90 seconds? I saw this is going to be something like some typical Swans intros, like very slowly building up to some kind of like content. But this straight goes into some very weird experimentation in rock and also folk kind of. Really interesting sounds. Some I can't even explain. The drumming is insane with those like drum rolls. It gets some sound across like get this one very intense and this stuff. My favorite part about this one right here so far are these like very abrasive and heavy, noisy guitars on this one. They are just like really out of there and just like very small like steps, and they always sounds very different in that sense. Sometimes they are longer, sometimes they are more weirder, sometimes you get a sound of these ones that are just like very ugly also. I don't know why. It's so different right here. And then we have the basic sound on this one right here. I don't know what that is. This is one instrument right here we have at the front, which was like the first we introduced on this track right here. But it sounds interesting and gets like a main theme into this track. Also, we got some like broken pianos into this one. I guess we had some broken pianos before on some albums by Swans. That's like a very common thing they use in post-rock to get like an odd sound. And right here, it really makes sense in this like really weird lullaby, almost like in this also as a counter melody of all these other kind of like instrumentals on this one so far. Well, it's interesting how much they can pull out of this the first 90 seconds. Let's move on. Let's stop right here. There's some like vocals coming into this one right here. That's not only Michael Giro. Hold up. Because this track, I saw that on Genius right here, featuring Alan Sporehawk and Mimi Parker. I don't know who these other two people are, but I can hear Michael Gira in the back in these vocals right here. In the mind of no one, forming sound, forming love, break the chain, hide within. Like this is like some like heavy stuff going into like the first songwriting of a track, and like break the chain, like maybe as an intro, like this like main character is like in these chains and I just breaks them. It's like some really heavy stuff right here. Maybe I just like got in my brain as some pictures, and then innocence, not innocent. Innocent in no sense. Eat the beast, keep him in. Eat the beast is also really interesting. That's like some stuff in going in maybe in some directions of like a higher power of killing it. Keep him in, take the blame, speak the name. Lunacy. That's some like really weird stuff, but Jesus, what the hell is this track so far? These vocals are amazing. There are like 3 or 2 layers of vocals on this one right here. There's a more deeper one, main vocalist, a higher one in this really weird voice, and then one really far on the back, if I hear that correctly. There's much going on. Hide beneath your monkey skin, feel his love, nurture him. So let's see how this one will continue. Really nice breakdown, such a great transition between these two sounds of like when he repeats just like this right here, like lunacy, lunacy, and it's so amazing. And like how it's like so creepy. It's like these persons like right in front of you, like some like cult stuff or something like that, and they're just like right in front of you, and shouting this like lunacy. I don't know, but this track right here invokes something in me, and it's amazing. Jesus. I love how there's these instruments just like broke into this one right here from the previous like kind of like instrumentalization from the intro of this like track right here, and then it just like repeats and repeats and repeats, and it just like so deaf numbing into you. It's just like punches this like groove into your brain, and it really is great in that sense. I don't know why this like works so much, like while being very basic with these lyrics, if you know what I mean. But it just like works in that sense. Also, like those like really nice drums, those drums and percussions and like all these stuff that just kind of like gets thrown into these tracks, and the structure is amazing and gets a really heavy rhythm across. And that's something that has not to be underestimated on this track right here. But let's see how this one will finish up. Let's listen. This was an amazing track. I don't know why, but this intro, or like this outro of this intro with "your childhood is over," it's almost very directly sad. It's melancholic. I don't know why it gets me into a feeling like that, but with these like acoustic guitars, these first very weird strings, but then going into some like very like slow paced and dark strings in the back as a texture first, after these like very weird kind of like maybe feedbacks of those drones from the like this chorus, then like feedbacking into this really great outro, and then you can really hear these like really beautiful vocals like right in front of you, and it's some of the most beautiful mixing of vocals I've ever heard. Your childhood is over. It's like some very melancholic things. Like it gets me into this feeling of you can only live a day once. You can only live a year once. Like this 1 second you just lived is your one opportunity, if you know what I mean. It goes some kind of like in the concept of that maybe also. That's one thing that's always like very haunting in my opinion. Like the value also of a life maybe. Your childhood is over. You have to face it. Or maybe also like the way you had your childhood is like forming yourself. And the actions you will take like further. Also maybe going to the lyrics before that. I mean, come on, let's give this some applause, this track right here. Come on. This track right here was monumental. This track did something many tracks never will be capable of right here. I don't know if this era of Swans will be all of this like that, or if this album will be as consistent like this, but if it will be, I'm into this one. And also I just realized while I blocked this side of the Seer, if you look at this side of the Seer, it looks very horror-like. And if you like this side, it's just like very weird. You know what I mean? Anyways, let's move on with the next track, which is called Mother of the World. Let's listen. great intro so far of this like second track. It's like this heavy groove, like you can hear in the background of this track right here some breaths like and it's amazing on this track right here of this one, like implemented into this like sound of these like guitars, did-dim, and this groove is amazing, not because of only that, the drums also add to that, like like it's always different and it gets a different groove, and there's like a very different like tops also, like it's very like subdimensional, and it's really grabs you like on your neck and just like gives you into this groove and just like moves you around, and it's amazing. Jeez. I mean, I'm a bass player, and this right here also going to the bass, amazing, boom 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 boom, and then boom 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 boom. It's amazing how this one right here just like forms into this track, and I'm really interested in how this will move on in that stuff. But so far, Jesus, like this is a hell of a groove. Before it will transition right here on this track right here, damn, this groove is amazing, but then it goes into these like really like backing kind of like textures right here that you even can't really realize at first. I realized as like the maybe 3-minute mark, 3.5-minute mark was there, and then I thought, well, there's a drone in the back, a very like a distant, nice, cloudy little ambient thing right there in the back, and it's like in this very high tone, and it's just like floating around, but not in a like panning way, just in like a tone way, and it's beautiful, and it really adds to something. And then these like Jira vocals, I guess it's Jira on this one right here, like and it's like so damn weird, and I love it. It's like he wanted to give just some like weird vocals into this one right here, and it really sounds really like the cover. I don't know. I guess like this animal right here will do something like this. I don't know why, but there were no vocals so far besides this one, and it's a 4.5-minute in right here, and it's amazing how this one just like builds up so long and it doesn't get boring at all. That's something very unique. Like most of these pop tracks are just as half as long as this track right here so far went before even getting vocals. Just note that, and it's amazing. So yeah, let's move on. What a breakdown right here on this like code, like in and out and in, and it's like this like heavy part right here, and from the like previous segment of this like intro, you just like get cut, and bam, you got the like chorus right here, and it's amazing how this one just like gets thrown in there, and the tone on that one is amazing, and such a huge release. It's like some like huge part in an orchestra or something like that, when all the strings come in and all the choirs. But right here, it's something a little bit different. Like Jiro comes in with all his guitars and drums, and it's amazing. And the drum rolls are amazing on this one, like also how the drum rolls like just like keep on keeping and keep on as a transition to the next part right here we're getting into right here, and I'm interested on how it will move on. So let's listen how it will move on. Yeah, let's move on. It gets these broken pianos again and this like beautiful melodies. Also, you can hear some like of these like broken guitars in the back. That it could be like something like broken old guitars in a really weird kind of like muffled sound. But I don't think they are. They're like some really like experimental weird strings on this one that just like get played with fingers or something like that. And they're just like maybe like fumbled over with the head or something, and it's weird on this right here. You still got the ambience and texture in the back and drums that always like move on through these tracks, which fills in the gaps in these tracks, which is amazing in that sense. So this makes every like second of like this pretty long album so far very intriguing and interesting in that sense, which is beautiful. So let's see how this one would end up. It's amazing how we got so much lyrics less when there are only like just like 30% of like this track left. So let's see. The soil, people say inside you're damn and rusty core, really nice moving on into this like really interesting kind of like way to get some like vocals across with some like extra bar of vocals and instrumentation and melody and vocals, which is an amazing move by Jiro, which I have never heard in this kind of like stuff. And didn't really expect it at all. Like this album is so interesting. Like just like think about how the track began with this like really heavy and head numbing like rhythm, and now it's one of the most like interesting like weird experimental rock vocal tracks ever I have heard so far. That's interesting. And in and out again, like in the previous and stuff like that. And where are you now, O mother of the world, while we're free from your hands, and we drink from your fill and your oil. It's something like the mother of the world, kind of like going about like the whole society just like making all of our resources like not digestible. Also like if you just like drink tap water and it's not good for you, something like that, and that stuff, and we poison our own kind of like rivers and stuff like that. Something kind of like gets me the feeling of that, and in and out and in and out again. Like there's just like this one sentence you always say, nature gives and take, but you shouldn't give. You always no, the other way around. You should never take, you should always give. You know what I mean? And in that stuff, this really makes sense. To scrape and suck the soil. Keep us safe inside, you damp and rusty soil, your. And the way he just like uses these vocals is like really intoxicating, and really gets you into the songwriting and the way he maybe wants to convey this sound. And from that, it really makes sense. I really enjoy this track. Okay, I'm going to stop with that. That's real. Anyways, let's finish up with this track. Mother of senseless things, Yeah, I mean, the instrumental outro on this track was also perfect into that, where you don't expect something like that. I thought it was just like going to straight up into some like heavy parts or something like that, like the outro went into some heavy parts like that, but it didn't, and it went into some more like full-fledged sound of some instrumentals that this album or this like track could be so far. Like then it adds up with this like beautiful almost like are these like what are these, it's like some eastern kind of like guitars, like some balalaikas or something. I don't know what these were, but so sounded like really beautiful. Maybe some steel guitars, I'm not really sure. But we still got the broken piano in the back and all those like instrumentals and drowns and drums coming in, and it's like really beautiful how this one like ends up in that most of senseless things. Mother come, kill time as it begins. Jesus Christ, like this track right here is heavy as fuck. Damn. We gonna plot then. Let's go. It deserves it. It deserves it. It's a monumental. What gotta say? Like the first two tracks so far were perfect in that sense. I don't know if it's going to end with some further listens, but I guess not. But yeah. Let's see what the next track is going to do, which is called The Wolf, the third track, which is pretty short. But let's listen.
The power line wash me in your bloodless. I am bruised, but I am raised.
I'm gonna back a little bit up because there could be like a transition something, because the sound is just like moves on, but we'll see. Very short track. It's the shortest track right here by far, when 1.5 minute. Interesting. Could be something like an interlude, something like to get a little bit space between these tracks. Maybe the first two tracks and now the fourth one's the Seer, which is the title track. I don't know if there's something like that, but really interesting sound, just like acoustics and just like Michael Gira. Michael Gira does a lot of solo effort also, and I saw that when he goes on most if light tours, he's not in Swans anymore, or also like back then, and mostly just like his voice and his acoustic guitar. So kind of like here, but then at the half point we get these like really weird drones or sound effects or what sounds. I don't know what these really are, but really interesting. Also, really weird sound right now. Feed me through the power line. I am bruised, but I am raised, and so on. Kind of weird. So let's see if there's something like kind of like a transition. Gonna go a little bit back, and then we'll see. So let's go through the fourth track, which is called This Is a Title Track. 30 minutes. Let's go. One intro of this track so far, we get so many sides into this one. Like it starts with these really abrasive bagpipes, and it's like so noisy, and there's some like feedback things going on after that, and we have some like straight drones. These drones kind of like sound like them we had in soundtracks for the blind. It always like sounds very wide and just like a heaven or something, or like an horizon, and it's like some really like high tone kind of drones, and that's always like goes in through these tracks right here, on this track so far, or this album also some maybe, but yeah, this track right here is really weird in that sense. It goes into some like also weird percussions on this one, like some rides here and there, and some tops into this one to get some like kind of like a huge intro. And I guess this intro going to be pretty long, while this is a 32-minute track. But let's see how it will turn out. Great progression on this track. This is awesome. Like how this like kind of like soul culminates on this track right here is amazing, and it gets added and layered and layered. First we got this like really nice starting drums with this really nice groove, in this like a pretty slow kind of like flavor, and then we get two guitars right here. One that goes like up and down, and kind of like abrasive and that stuff, and gets the really feeling. Then we have the other one, which is just like this little melody on this one right here, which sounds pretty intense also, and the drums get more evolved. I think I hear also two drums. I don't know if they added somebody into the band. I mean, it could be because there are so many interesting like also instruments going into this right here. But yeah, also how it kind of like evolves. Also, we have some like new sounds right here. It's really amazing. Let's see what will continue. It's amazing how kind of like Jira does his vocals on this album so far, especially on this track right here. I see it all, I see it all, I see it all, and just like repeats it. It's so them like a horror movie or something, like a mania, just like talks through the microphone or something, or like through the through kind of a corner, sits there and just like I see it all, I see it all, and it's so weird. Which also just like first I thought he was just like saying I seer, like the seer, but Then I saw the lyrics and I was like, nah. But still, it's really interesting how this one like gets into like all these different sounds and this like really head numbing rhythm, and it just like moves on and moves on. And then these like backing vocals by Jiro, how he just like shouts out loud, like gets his like his voice out of there, and it's really amazing. And it's a tone right here. I've never expected going into this album while we listen to these other albums. I mean, my thought will get me up, Rob Tuska is also very, very different album in that sense. But this right here even takes a more of a further leap into some new directions and some really experimental stuff. But I just really appreciate like how they really take the time to evolve these tracks, and it sounds amazing. Let's see how this will continue. But this is great so far, and we are not even like 1/3 through this track. Holy shit. Jesus, what a masterpiece. Like how it like builds up with this like heavy groove until it just like explodes in this like heavy part, and all the guitars are just like slamming and slamming, and the drums are like so compressed. It's like so noisy and intense. It's like some heavy noise rock right here, and it's amazing. I mean, we had parts like this so far on Soundtracks of the Blind, if it but it took more to progress to that, or it not like sonically or instantly involves into that. But right here it's just like cut and damn you go, and it's amazing in that sense. And the sound is amazing. Like the way they recorded this, wow, really amazing. Yeah, also like just the way like all these noisy instruments are just like seemingly really slowly evolving and sticking into this track. It takes a time, and it's amazing how it really like manages to do that. You don't even really recognize it, so you get the feeling of like instantaneously like slamming these things into your face. But this is amazing, and also like how it's got faster and faster and faster in this main track, and now right now it goes slower and slower. There's like some really progressive, nice post rock, but also goes into noise rock. It's amazing. But let's see how this will move on. Shit, man, like the way it just like goes away from this heavy part and really slowly evolves into this part right here, where we get some like of these like bells, we get percussion, we get heavy breakdowns of these guitars, but like so randomly it really like always stabs you. It's heavy. it really messes with you, and it's amazing how it does it right here. Man, this is amazing. Holy shit, these sounds right here, like how it again slowly like builds up with these like heavy guitars, and there's like some really like scratching noisy guitar sound in the back, where someone like really scratches on these guitars like really heavily, and I get some like really noisy stuff right here across. Right here we also have some of these like best drums ever, like how it like slowly builds up in between those snares is amazing, and really gets you into a feeling of like distress and just like an unfulfillness of like this build up, and it makes this like really epic almost. It's like some, I can't even explain it, some like post-apocalyptic stuff right here, and I've never heard something like this, and this is amazing. Let's move on. It's interesting how it interesting it's interesting how this track not moves on with a more heavier part. It slowly builds up into something, but then kind of like it takes time for a segment like this, a segment of like weirdness and calmness. There's something like in between right here. It's like you kind of like accept your something, like your situation you're in or something. You accept your fate. This kind of feeling I get right here through the harmonica that got added right here, and the horse sound, these little weird sound effects that sometimes like plugs in, those backing drums and guitars right here that are just like really silent right here and wait for the next turn maybe to explode or something, and it's amazing. Damn, it's getting so silent right now. We only have some of these harmonicas and the basic, like the main drone of this track right here, or ambience. I don't know how I should call it. Um, but there's something kind of like left from the previous segments in the left of your ear, and it's like really weird how that one kind of like evolves into this like um, maybe like most kind of like into the most silent kind of segment of maybe this album or this track right here. I'm really interested how in the last kind of like 7 minutes we got into this track will evolve, but so far this track is such an interesting individually manifested track and orchestrated also, and the way they choose their instrument is something very different. Sometimes they are like folky instruments, sometimes just like basic rock, and it's amazing how they're just like experimenting around, and right here the harmonica is just like pure genius. So let's move on. And now we're just left with the drone. This is amazing. It's just like so slow and really intense. It gives me just like maybe also a feeling of like this kind of like in a medieval kind of concept. I don't know why. Like the first track Lunacy also gave me a feeling of there was like those broken pianos, the main instrumentals. Sometimes in this album also like the third track how it goes into straight acoustics. The second track also here and there maybe. And also just like the cover right here. Um, Also the track names, Mother of the World and something like that, sometimes just give me the feeling of like nature and also animals and such things. I don't know why it gives me such weird feelings. Nothing like modern. It's more like very like things from the past. And for that, it kind of like gives me the feeling of that. And Jesus Christ, it really is powerful on this track right here. But let's see how this will end up. What the hell is Michael Gira doing here with his vocals? But it's amazing. His voice sounds like this thing on this cover right here. How it would talk if it would talk. I don't know. This album makes my brain fried. What the? Why is he doing that? Why is his vocals just so weird? I love it too much, and so on. Sometimes you just can't even understand his words because he does it in such a weird voice, like here, and then the common talk, the color my mouth, the color my mind, a common mouth. You're scraping my mouth. What the hell? And we had like mother of the world, then the wolf, and right here we're talking about sun. The contact, the call in my mouth. I love you too much. What happens if you love someone too much? This is like some like horror movie shit in medieval times or something like that. I don't know. Let's see how it will end up. And that was the Seer. What a track. The groove is amazing. I love how it went back into this like crazy groove at the end right there. Shout out to the drummer. That's like some amazing drumming right there. And I love the way that how this track ended. This like 30-minute behemoth. I don't know what that is called again. Anyways, I don't know what to tell you. It's just a 10 right here. Behemoth track. I should do a new playlist just like with just Behemoth tracks. Track that are over like 10 minutes just great. This one would go straight up in there. Nah, whatever. But anyways, yeah, great track. Heavy track. Diverse. Instrumental genius. So much going on. Weird vocals. Michael Gira. What a chat. Let's move on with the next track, which is called The Seer Returns. Sure, why not? Let's listen.
Greasy beast heaving in a field of sticky black mud. I'm down here naked. There's a hole in my chest. Both my arms are broken, pointing east to west. My light pours into your mouth. Your light pours into my mouth.
First track start with this great drone right here, and it's like so weird. It's almost like synthetic in the way, but then it goes into this great groove. The drums are amazing again. First, the vocals are a little bit weird with this delay on Jiva's voice, but it goes into the songwriting really great. Behind the veil of silver scars, there's a special inverted star. He's a greasy beast, heaving in a field of sticky black mud, and I can really like picture this like beast coming out of the black mud. And this track right here is really suitable for that, because this track is just so greasy. I don't know. But yeah, and then it goes into this great songwriting after that, like all these things about like what goes into your mouth and what pours in that, something. Jesus Christ. Jira is like onto something on this album right here. Also really great backing, straight vocals. I guess there are some choirs that are just like this, a one-line tone. It almost sounds like a drone. But that's also really great detail right here. Let's see how this will continue.
All the mountains are crumbling, all the kings are thundering, all the people are fucking, they're just power riding, selfish bliss. You have arrived.
This is a masterpiece also. Jesus. The songwriting, the mountains are crumbling, the canyons are thundering, all the people are fucking. They are just a pile of writhing, selfish bless. I know I'll never die. I scream up at the sky. You have arrived. It could be about like something into this concept of that he just like embraced kind of like, or like went into Christianity, going, and maybe like he saw that like kind of like the world he is in around him is just like not something really he wants to be in. It's like this a pile of writhing selfish bless. And then he tells her, I know I'll never die, and I scream up at the sky, you have arrived, like, or I have arrived, or something like that. It could be something like that. I also saw there's a featuring of Jabo, that's also amazing. Yeah, because I love Jabo. But right here, this is amazing. Also those chants, it's so groovy, and it's amazing. It's also really fun so far. It's not just like a drag to get through on these long tracks or something. It's just like so much fun. It's so intense and heavy, and I love it.
Bring the children home. Bring the children
What a great track. Also interesting. Bring the children home. Hey, bring the children home. Also really interesting, maybe into the concept of that stuff I kind of like talked about before on this track right here. Interesting. I love this track. It's so different. It's so groovy. Yeah, kind of like the vocals by Jira at the beginning are a little bit weird with those delays, but still a great one. And I love Jiva's vocals so far on this album. It's always like so damn weird, and then he has like sometimes it's really like deep down voice, and it sounds like he's fed up or something, and he has not a good time. Hey, he's having not a good time or something like that, or he's really feeling it, something like that. But it suits the album in that kind of sense. But yeah, this one is between a 9 and a 10. This one was great. So let's see what the next track will do, which is called 93 Avenue Blues. Let's listen. Now, this is fucked up. I don't know what's going on. There are some of the most heaviest, noisiest, weirdest, and creepiest strings I've ever heard. And these drums sounds very out of place, but it all makes sense in that. Also, maybe in the songwriting, there's some guitars on the left somewhere. Sometimes Jira sometimes comes in with some weird like moaning or something like that. I don't know. And Jesus, what is this track? I'm wondering what the 93rd Avenue Blues is, or the 93rd Avenue. Maybe it's just like a street, and Gio wants to talk about the street in a blues, and maybe it's a really fucked up street, or there was a kind of like maybe a backstory or a story about that city or that street. Interesting. Let's see how this fucked up track will move on. The breakdown at the end, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Before that, I wanted to talk about the Shining soundtrack. That's a really unique soundtrack by a composer, the name I forgot. But he uses also string sounds like this, because with strings and violins you can do the weirdest sounds in existence. And you can plug them, you can do them, like you can punch in these strings, or like do some like crazy things with them, or just like scratch them or something, and you get the weirdest sounds ever. This right here could get into that category. So this kind of weird also, there are some themes by this one composer, I forgot also the name. I'm so bad with names. Like the Kyria themes also are like really fucked up in that sense, with some strings like that. It gets me just like the feeling of that. But the breakdown right there at the end with those like noisy drums, that crunches, that crushes you. So yeah, that really messes with you. What a track. This street he talks about must be pretty fucked up. But yeah, this track right here, just from the way it moves on this album, or just like for the flow of this album, is a masterpiece. Just as a track, I would right now give this one a 9. So let's see what the next track will do, which is called The Daughter Brings the Water. track right here sounds like a classical painting, and it also really sounds like some like folkier tracks of their album White Light, album White Light, which was an awesome album, really different one. To be honest, in their whole discography, while they were on an excursus into some excursus into some of the like folkier and new wave and new age stuff in that sense. Not new age, that's something different. But yeah, you know what I mean. And this right here is some really interesting stuff from the songwriting also. His voice is really interesting. The way he also like sings this it's like so damn weird. It could be a really great kind of like solo, kind of like folk singer songwriter. The composition of all these like different little sounds right here reminds me of some of the compositions, especially with those percussions on this track on like the soundtracks for the blind stuff, like these little bells and things like that, or wood chimes. I don't know how these called. Damn. But yeah, kind of like gets me the feeling of that. But right here, it's a good track in that, and also the last track of the first disc, which is also interesting. I'm going to the next portion of this album. So yeah, for this track, I'm feeling something between an 8 and a 9. So still a fucking great track. So let's see what the next track will do, which is called "Song for Warrior." The next disc. Let's listen.
There is a growing golden light, a flower unfolding behind the mirror of your eyes. Oh, then
So this track has a feature by Karen O. I don't know who Karen O is, but it's a very different tone for this track, this album, for Swans, and something really interesting. But it's a very soft and calming ambience on this track. Also these really nice little like instruments coming in at the end right there, get some really nice sounds of I don't know, maybe some like stuff we had on White Light also, maybe some stuff we had on Children of God. I kind of like thinking about that, but it's a beautiful sound right there, and yeah, I like this one. It's a little bit like a little song you would sing to yourself while you're just like at home or something like that. So yeah, I really like this track so far. Let's see how it will continue.
a million more just waiting to become. Send them home. Send them home and destroy and destroy.
Nice track right here. My favorite part right here also like "Send Them Home" right here at the end, where also like Jira comes in with his vocals, doing a little bit of a duet, maybe, which is amazing track right here, and interesting songwriting while it's a little bit all over the place, but it's about like a lot about like getting home. Some stuff also going into being free. Song for a Warrior. gets me again into this like medieval stuff again, like this concept of like after a war, when the kind of like these warriors go back to home, sending them home, stuff like that, if you know what I mean. But I also love these pianos on this track and all these other little instrumentals on this track. It's really sweet, really good track. I'm feeling a 9 on this one. Really interesting beginning into the second disc of this album. So let's see how we'll continue with the track Avatar. 9-minute track. Let's listen. This track Avatar right here gets me a heavy feeling of the first track of the last album, My Father. With the first track, No Words, No Thoughts, I guess was the title, with these bells and kind of like progressively going into this one with some like side sticks also into these drums, which sounds amazing. And a nice groove right here also with those little guitars also. Let's see how this will continue, but it's sounding great so far. And the mix on this album is immaculate, by the way. I'm really wondering how they recorded this. I want to know. Tell me. But yeah, no. Let's move on. Really nice chord change right here, also on this track right here. It's a 4-minute mark. That one was really good. You can slightly hear that, but that one right there was genius. This track is really heavy. It's like some like epic finale. Well, this is only the second track on the second disc, so not a finale, but it's just kind of like an epic kind of like beginning of an end, maybe also like. First these like bells is like something before going into a war or something, and then like the heavy parts coming and it's like some like heavy breakdowns and stuff like that, and that's amazing how this one right here is played. Really loving it so far. Let's see how this will continue, but it's a pretty long build up, but I don't mind on this one right here, to be honest. I really love this. Let's move on.
Your life is in my hand. 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 Your mind in my eye. Your mind is in my eye. Your mind is in my eye. Your eye.
Some great vocals right here. I loved like how first these lyrics went on and went on as kind of this instrumentals are not really changing, but there is really slightly perfect chord progression on this one right here that just like evolves so slowly that you barely can hear it, but I can feel it right now, like how these like really beautiful sound coming in, and right here then at the end he's just singing in your eye is in my eye, your mind is in my eye, your life is in my hand, and so on. And then at the end, like, it gets this like beautiful and huge vocals. And like Jira is such a good vocalist, and this album really shows his capability of also doing some like great kind of things like this, and it's amazing. Let's see how this one would end up. Holy shit, that's the best outro Swans ever did. And that's a reward for this kind of like a long track, and going on with these like pretty like lengthy chord progressions and slowly evolving intro into the half of the track, where then the vocals come in, and then the beautiful singing by Jira comes in, and then it breaks down back to these bells, and just how it breaks down in this at the end is the best stuff I've ever heard by Swans of how to handle an imperfect outro. And I guess this one deserves the monumental status. 3 monumentals so far on this album. Fucking Swans, man. Yeah, Avatar. Beautiful track. Perfect track. Jesus Christ. So let's see what the next track will do, which is called A Piece of the Sky. Almost 20-minute track. Let's listen. Damn. So good. And I kind of like anticipating this 20 minutes track, and that's a great thing, I guess. Let's listen. What an ambience on this track. Damn. This is like some evolved soundtracks for the blind stuff. Like sometimes in soundtracks for the blind we have some like ambiences and maybe some like huge parts like these. But this right here just like explodes everything like that. We got 2 features on this one right here, Acronym Family and Jarbo. That's great. But damn. First, like, there was like some fire, and I just like thought about like what could be a piece of the sky mean? Maybe something like falling off the sky, or something. I'm not really sure, but that's interesting. Um, and there's like some fire. So this thing that came off the sky is burning or something, and then it just like flames up a noise and goes into this part right here, and these like heavy vocal drones, I would call it like that, and this is amazing. Hold up right now. There's like so much going on. Jesus Christ, what is this track? This is the most unconventional track, experimental, ambient, and droney track so far. It went away from these vocals and went into some like really weird kind of ambient drone track that's just really weird. Like all these like different instrumentals on this one, I can't even digest or explain in that sense. Um, Besides maybe those beautiful and heavy strings on this one right here, like this one violin is like really beautiful and really sets the tone on this one right here. And then right here, these chimes and bells come in again, and Jesus, wow. The sound of this is like some top tier recorded stuff, and it's amazing. Oh, hell yes. I've been waiting for something like this. Not to tell you that, like the intro was 10 minutes long. No, I think that the kind of like these bells and chimes is the main part of this track to get you into something like the feeling this track wants to convey. Uh, it wants to give you something like a very straight line between like the first part, how weird, head numbing, and but also beautiful is there's something also like a weirdness at the beginning with those strings and so on, and these like this like fire and stuff like that. But then these like beautiful chord progressions, and it's such a I can't even explain. It's such an emotional ride through this track right here. The sounds are amazing, and these little bells also at the end, and the whole groove. It's a very slow track right here. Is beyond beautiful, and I can't even tell you how many perfect tracks on this album were so far. But this is amazing. This is what I want from like experimental, progressive post rock or something like that. It's not describable. It's amazing. Jesus, what is this track? This is amazing. I love how they really take the time so you can just like enjoy this beautiful sound of this segment right here, and it's amazing. It's like some a serial experience. You can't even explain. It's outer worldly. It's something you want to get out of music, and you can only do something like this also if you do sometimes like a 20-minute track. If you do stuff like this, you should take your time to evolve each instrument and every single like progression, and use everything like that beautifully. And it's so well thought out. They use every little piece of their band that they can use. You can really hear it's so full, but also so gentle. And yeah, I mean, what can I tell you? This track right here is perfect. Let's see how it will end up.
In a clear and rushing vein, in a tunnel full of rain, in a piece of yellow light, on the skin of my eye, are you there? In the wind of my lungs, in methane and in love, in petroleum blooms, there's a floating slice of moon. In your tooth and your claw, and your unforgiving jaws, are you there?
Yes, this track is beautiful. My favorite part of like how the vocals started are the bass that got added to this one right here. It has a really weeping sound. It like gently weeps from like going from like downtones, and then he stretches up to some like notes higher, and it's amazing on this one, like just like sounds. And how they also used some backing vocals, some beautiful humming on this one right here also. And then the G-Worms songwriting is on point again, and the sun fucks the dawn. Geo, am I right? But in a piece of yellow light on the skin in my eye, are you there in the wind of my lung, in methane and a love? And your unforgiving jaws, are you there in a burning white ship? Interesting, but let's move on.
In the now that is not, on a ladder to God, on a mountain strip bare, with your hand in my hair, behind the face of the sky, on a disappearing line, are you there? Are you in there? On the
That was almost like a spiritual experience in that. And I would tell that that track is the most beautiful Swans track in their discography so far. And it's amazing how I talk so many things right now until here. I talked that Lunacy have the best chorus by Swans so far. I talked about how Mother of the World, I guess, had the best groove in their discography. Right here before that, the track Art was one of the best outros. And also coming into like A Piece of the Sky was one of the beautiful second parts of a half of a track. It's amazing. Yeah, I gotta get that, man. Come on. Come on. Amazing shit. Man, what the fuck? Also like I don't know what it was that a balalaika or something like that at the end? Is that a balalaika? Hold on, let me Google. Yeah, I think it was, or a mandolin. Or I don't think it was a banjo. Maybe a mandolin or balalaika, and that's just like a really beautiful instrument to use something also in that way. You use some bells and chimes also. Beautiful thought out. Really nice. So we got a 23 minutes track left, the last track, which is called Apostate. Let's just jump right into it. Jesus, what is this track? We are just 6 minutes into this track. I mean, just not, but we had such a huge intro. These like really noisy, nice guitar on this one that's just like got stretched and this really fucked up theme right here. It's a beautiful way to start a last track like this, and then it just like straight up just like punches you into the noise right here. Damn, like, oh, why? But it's amazing, and it really messes with you. While like the 6 minutes, you just like on this like trip of this beautiful, but also weird and heavy sounds, and then you get just slammed always, and that's like the really the strength of Swans in this track for you. Also, for example, damn. Let's move on. Holy. After the noisy, fucked up, chaotic part right here, it goes only into snares in these like weird timed rolls, drum rolls, and snare rolls, and then suddenly sometimes it just always punches you in the face with these like I can't even explain this. These heavy parts where all the instruments come in, a little bit like the nowhere stuff from all the beginning of Swans, and just like it punches you. And sometimes this album straight goes into like I don't know, I can't even explain it. I mean, we're pretty deep into this album. The recordings is I guess 2.5 hour, but I'm really, I should have listened to this like in one go, and it makes sense like to listen to this like that, and it's amazing. Jesus Christ. Let's just move on. Yeah, amazing breakdown. You can hear the impact, and also the just the feedback of this thing. Like the part before this one was so damn heavy. I'm sure I don't want to hear that live, because your ears gonna explode on that for sure. But right here we're safe with our headphones. No, just kidding, but you know what I mean. This is the most heaviest stuff they did probably so far in their discography as I can remember. Yeah, sometimes their no wave stuff is even more heavier, also in their live forms. But this one right here, as the last track, is just so fucked up. Especially the last 3 tracks of this album could be all like outro tracks of albums, and they would be perfectly fine for that. But this one right here, to do it like that, yeah, that's dark. Let's move on. That's genius. This could be also maybe the best track of this album. This could be. Let's forget that. It's not about what the best track of this album is. It's just about why this is a masterpiece right here. The vocals, amazing. He screams like in the old times with his new wave stuff. He just screams his stuff like get out. And it's amazing. It's not in my mind, not in my mind. We're living a lie. You're not in my mind. And it's like he's getting insane. And I mean, listen to these instrumentals. There are some screws loose, if you know what I mean. In German we call it Drossenbach Stromlocker. I don't know. I guess. And it's amazing how these bells come in again from, like, I talked about that, like, no words, no thoughts. I talked about this in the previous track we had. I don't remember which track it was. It's a long album, come on, I don't know. But yeah, this is perfect. Jesus. Where do I begin? The way he screams like, this is and then it's like, I don't know, what is that? What's he doing? Why is he screaming like this? But it makes so much sense with this track. It's maybe something like, you're not in my mind, we're living a lie, not in my mind, like, get out, we are on a letter to God. It's like he wants to get like these demons out of his head or something like that. We're living a lie, you're not in my mind, get out. And then a letter to God. And it's amazing how he just like gets that out of there. Or he screams it. Also this groove, it's so head numbing. The drums are amazing. Every single part of this track works perfectly, 100%. Also, but then this one, Space Cunt? For North Data Space Cunt. I didn't get that, but still. Perfect track. Yeah, that's one of the best tracks I've ever heard in my entire life. I think that says something, right? Even this is not enough what this trick is right here. It's one of the most insane outros and ideas, songs, writings, lyrics, everything. This track has everything. In these 23 minutes, amazing. The way also at the end there came in also these drums and these heavy toms, and it's like it's so much stress and it's all over the place and abrasive. It's amazing. But man, I have to let this album sink in a long time. I gotta tell you, this is amazing. Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ. Yeah, nah, this is an album like no other. I'm impressed. Swans impressed me really here. So I'll let this album sink a little bit, and I'll get you a big juicy review for this one right here. So see you then. Well, yeah, The Seer by the Swans. The Seer is the reborn or the reincarnation of Swans after Soundtracks for the Blind, and ranges from the best concept of sound to their best choices of instrumentals, which is of course also because of the kind of growth of the band, all over that discography, and right here also from that previous album 2010, My Father, spanning at a range of 2 hours. Right here is The Seer. Because of that, I wanted to get a better idea of how they recorded this monstrosity of an album, because this fucking album has the best recording music I have ever heard, and I can say that without any hesitation. I will just name some perfect recorded instruments of this album that are not really usually used, or they not really necessarily have to use them, but they just did, and it has a perfect sound and something really different and experimental into rock. For example, the juice harp that they used, the dulcimer, the pianos, the cellos, the contrabassons, the bagpipes, the straight up fire sound that they used with the crackling to get some acoustics and the synthetics into this one, and a lot of random percussions and heavy loud drums, and it's amazing. For example, also at the outro of this album. When I saw on YouTube how they recorded this thing, Jiwa said they couldn't even hear themselves because it was just like way too loud, and that every sound check of every track was hell and could take longer than a whole work day. Lyrically, this album deep dives into nature, religion, a higher power, beats that rule the world, and the most important theme on this album also, the fear of death. Also, Jiren noted on an interview that he wants to create something that is urgent and fulfills him and others, which is a big part of this album right here. I have taken a lot of time to digest this album. My reaction is already almost 2 weeks out, so I listened to this album countless times, but mostly each track just itself, because I always had the feeling that each track on this album has a kind of like a thing going on itself in its own shell, while there are a little bit more than other tracks that I listen to besides some of the other kind of like tracks I did, because sometimes they are more long and sometimes they are shorter, so I listen to the longer tracks more than I listen to the shorter tracks, which is not normal actually, but right here, I mean, it's the Swans. It's the Seer. But yeah, my most listened track were the Seer, of course, Lunacy, Mother of the World, and Apostate. I experienced that this album is also one of the most well thought out albums when it comes to the flow in between tracks. Just think about the first disc of this album and then about the second disc. Every track of disc 2 feels like an outro, last finale as last sacrifice, giving your best at the end, while every track on the first disc is the complete opposite and also very different from each another. That's very different on all the other Swans albums. They always have a different feeling when it comes to a combination of all songs that bear a same feeling and idea, especially recording style and sound. Right here you could listen to the Seer and the Seer Returns, which are both masterpieces individually, deeply different in the approach also. The Seer is a lengthy track with a lot of space in between the breath, and to get some pauses in between, which is really necessary to not make it too full with its 32-minute track. And each approach of the grooves and intenseness, especially in vocals also at the end of this track, is just like really the weirdest fucked up thing I've ever heard that Jira just like thought out. The Seer Returns is a more direct, fucked up, groovy tracks with bluesy feeling, but also strikes experimental rock roots with the beginning drone and the backing chants. The first track also gives space for tracks to get some uncanny Swan stuff like 93 Avenue blues with the most fucked up strings and noise rock at the end I've ever heard. The most fucked up shit ever. And then there is The Daughter Brings Water. A track that brings up styles Swans used in the late 80s and early 90s. Great shit right there, and a suit of a new band, and it's such a masterpiece. And also could be like just like put into white light, and it would be perfectly fine, and one of the best tracks beside Blind, to be honest. In my reaction I talked about everything besides all the stuff right here, but I wanted to point out the masterpiece of a track which is called Apostate, the last track, because I thought that I didn't talk about that enough. I could talk about that track for an hour, to be honest, but this is just the best album closer I have ever heard, lyrically and instrumentally, and vocally also, not to forget. But the vocals at the end sounds like a possessed person getting insane while getting stabbed multiple times while singing. While there are some chats giving some backing vocals on this track also from the band, which also were used in Lunacy with this like chorus from like 3 or 4 individually band members just like singing that chorus, and it sounds amazing. But there are also like these flutes which are amazing, made by Thor Harris, I guess is his name, on this one also, which sounds very fucked up. Jira shouts and growls like a person who is straight before puking and dying, and that all makes sense lyrically, just like that's the feeling that I got. I'm going to name some kind of lyrics right here from the song. It's not in my mind, we're living a lie, you're not in my mind, get out. We're on a letter to God. Get out, get out, get out. Get across. We're on a letter to God. Get out. Blessed. That's amazing. That's just like insane. I can't even digest that. That's such genius songwriting to such a track, and these little words that they just like put into these lyrics, that's like for a track that goes over like 20 minutes. These little just like little snippets of lyrics, perfect, absolutely genius, and changed my whole view on the lyrics of this album also from this last track. Also the drums and screams at the outro is just a thing, and it's insane. But what else can I say? The Seer by Swans, I'm happy to say this is the first one right here, but the Seer by Swans is a 10. It's a masterpiece. And I'm happy to actually tell that, because we have so many other albums left, and this one is the first 10. Well, yes, Soundtrack for the Blind was my favorite so far, but this one right here is something different, something special, a reincarnation. And I'm happy to like soon go also into the other albums by Swans, because the next albums are even more hyped up than the Seer. What? So I'll be very interested how the To Be Kind album will sound like, and after that one I think the name was The Glowing Man, and also after that there's Leaving Meaning, but I never really read anything or like anyone talking about that, but we'll see, right? So here we go, here we are. See you on the next album and the next request and the next Swans album, which is going to be To Be Kind. So see you then.